Hi, I'm 2021 Why Not Cam Awards winner Chelsea Poe. I'm here to tell you about my cam studio, Treasure Cams. Treasure Cams is a performer-led webcam studio owned by queer porn star Bella Vendetta. We welcome all 21 plus models who want to earn a paycheck from home as cam performers. We're open to all body types, genders, persuasions, and presentations. You get access to our performer-only forums, monthly team meetings, as well as help with promotion and marketing. For customers, check out treasurecams.com to see all of our models, schedules, and photos. treasurecams.com. Have you ever been looking for an amazing queer cam performer? Well, I got you covered. You should check out TS Cami. Her super hot content is on Chatterbait, Twitter, Xhamster, and Reddit. Support this rad trans femme babe. Hello, everyone. I'm here today with, in my opinion, the best BDSM director in the world, Princess Donna. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I cannot tell you how many people who've been on this podcast has listed you as an influence. So I'm so excited to talk to you. Most of these episodes are very much about your career and experiences, but I just want you to understand the amount of cis women and trans women who's had their sexuality shaped by your porn. And I just really want you to know that because I feel like in this industry, we don't usually get flowers from peers that much. I just
Yeah,
really want to know, you to know that first and foremost.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I only know the BDSM porn with you in it, honestly. So
Well, that's
I
all you
don't.
need to know anyway.
So when did you get into porn? Because for me, my view of porn, you've always been like a constant object there. It's like constant permanence.
Thanks. I mean, I started let's see. I mean, I was going to NYU
Hmm.
um and studying photography and uh, gender and sexuality. And I was working in a strip club for a minute, for a little bit.
Hmm.
And then this girl from my photo department, it's wild because it was such a small department. There was only like 12 students.
That's
Um,
tiny.
yeah, it was very small. But told me that she had modeled at this company, and they I mean, what she said was just they tied me up and it was cool, maybe you'd want to do it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I had been interested in BDSM. I had
Hmm.
gone to some play parties in New York that Tristan Taramino and Red
Okay.
Pro. Um, but I was uh I mean, just too shy. I mostly was by the snack tray eating carrots. And going around seeing, I saw things that I liked. And I saw that's where I saw fisting for the first time.
Hmm.
And where I saw a takedown scene for the first time. And I really those were the things that stick out to me the most, is yeah, things I remembered and things that I liked. But anyway, so I hadn't really done any BDSM before. Um, but so yeah, I went and eventually got to modeled for this company, which
Hmm.
was a pretty extreme BDSM company, I think, by most any standard. And
Are they still around or?
no, they're not around anymore. It was called Insects at the time,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
know
then they
them.
became like Intersex. Uh, you know,
Hmm.
but so I started modeling there, and it was, I mean, yeah, it was wild, and but I liked it, and it was, yeah, I don't know, it was fun. And it was, I think for me, just I think, as BDSM can be in general, I think it can be a good way to deal with or work through um trauma and like
Hmm.
experiences in your life that you haven't had control over, and being able to act them out in a different way in which you are ultimately in control can be very empowering. Um,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so I don't know, like it was wild. It took me like the girl they had, I'm sorry, but like this anorexic Swedish person doing all of the like booking, and she
Hmm.
like she wouldn't let me model for them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is insanity. Like the front of your website has like girls buried in the ground up to their
Yeah.
necks with like their mouths pried open and bugs are crawling in. I see nipples. And you like, I'm too chubby to work for you. Are you fucking kidding me? I look basically the same as I do now.
Oh my God. It's just
But
so crazy, like the fat phobia that's in porn, that it's like,
insane.
oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. So, but then what happened more like essentially is that I was there again for another interview, and she was getting ready to like have me leave, and then this guy Matt Williams walked in, and he was
Hmm.
the videographer at Insects, and he also did some like co-topping, and that's what I recall. If he did more than that, I mean, I know he did more than that there because it was such a small company, but
Hmm.
anyway, that's what I remember. And he came in and he was like, "Oh, $1 million tits, let's shoot her right now." And so then that's what happened. And then I will never forget the smell of the inside of that metal box from that day. Um, and so yeah, that's where I started. And then when I was getting ready to graduate, um, I was trying to figure out, what I guess I missed something. Okay, so the owner of the company, he wanted me to start doming for him.
Hmm.
And like, I mean, essentially, I guess, he wanted me to dom him.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely.
and
That's definitely the vibe of like, I feel like there's an era of like porn directors where they were also like just trying to kind of get some on the side.
sure. Yeah. No, I mean, well, that was like definitely certainly happening here. And because I think it's because I didn't live out of state. I lived right there. And so I didn't yeah, a lot of girls would come from other places and they would end up staying at the model apartment,
Hmm.
and I never stayed at the model apartment, but and he was always trying to get me to be a quote unquote, what was it called? Um, I can't remember, but like some kind of live-in model. Um,
Mm.
and he'd be like, but you have to play with my little man, and that I'm like, no, thank you, but no. Um, and I think I don't. I mean, who can say why he wanted? He thought I seemed like I should dom. Um, I don't know. I have to imagine that it had something to do with the fact that I was always saying no. and, and like I mean, it doesn't take that. Oh God, I mean, it sounds terrible, but honestly, it's not. It's just it doesn't take that long to figure out if you're like going to work for somebody and they will take you shopping for most of the day, like,
Yeah.
and still pay you. Like, why wouldn't you go shopping for most of the day and get paid? Like,
Of
um,
course, yeah.
and get fitted for a couple of like bondage devices that you'll use
Hmm.
down the line. I mean, it's the smarter way to go, I think. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
there's
so I
definitely.
anyway, he wanted me to dom, and he taught me like, I mean, I swear to God, like two times he taught me some rope work.
Hmm.
Um, and then I just started practicing on my own a lot. And I have all these very funny pictures from like being in college and like tying my friends up poorly at parties and stuff. Um, but I got better. And
Was this like mid 2000s?
yeah,
Okay.
it was the early 2000s. This was early 2000s
Okay.
because I started at Kink in 2004, and this was before Kink.
Oh my
So
God, really? It was that early?
yeah.
Wow.
um, so I'm old. What can I
I mean, I feel like I've been in porn for 10 years and I feel like the oldest fucking person now, despite only being 32.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
I
feel
mean
you, like it
it's
ages
hard.
you.
It's yeah, I mean it is it's something. But when I started though, actually, porn and the porn industry and the BDSM industry were still mostly separate
Hmm.
things. Like no they didn't like sex and bondage wasn't being shown at the time. So
Yeah.
there were not a lot of porn performers who were doing BDSM work and vice versa, you know?
Hmm.
But and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I I wouldn't, I mean, I can't see myself have signed up, I wouldn't have signed up to be a porn star, you know, like I don't think
Mm.
that was that wasn't something that called to me. And I think that I didn't you know, I mean, I knew I was on camera and I knew it was sexual. I mean, I don't know. It just like it felt it was, you know, honestly, it was like a very individual experience, and it was not.
Mm.
It's not one that I have ever personally seen come before or after. You know, exactly. It's just like
Yeah.
it was just like the way that things. You know, that's just how my life progressed.
Also, like what a
And-
porn star looked like in the early 2000s is like vastly different than now. It was still like kind of the 90s, like big fake tits,
Right. I
blonde
see. I
hair.
didn't even watch porn until college when
Same.
I had this girlfriend, my first girlfriend, um Camille, and
Hmm.
she like yeah, I remember being in gender and sexuality class, and she would always make like funny comments. But anyway, like I didn't think porn was, I had seen it and I was not interested.
Hmm.
And but then she told me that she always like put herself in the boys' position. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You see all of these people obsessed with my dick, like as if for POV porn and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love that. So then I felt differently about it, and I could get into it more. And so yeah, I mean, I didn't really have any connection to the porn industry as
Hmm.
it stands initially. But then you know, things started to change with, you know, like around the time of Sex and Submission, and
Hmm.
um the company was like, you know, trying to see how far they could go with bondage and penetration and
Hmm.
dominance and sex and all of that stuff. And you know, obscenity law is a um it's not a very defined area of
Yeah.
law. I mean, it seemed as though it was mostly dictated by what successful prosecutions that had happened in the past. Um, but you know, so the rules weren't, there's no set rules. It doesn't like say anywhere,
Hmm.
you can't do fisting, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's just
Hmm.
um so anyway, yeah, it was much easier for I guess for Sex and Submission to get started than than the stuff that I wanted to start. The owner of the company would just always say no to any idea that I wanted.
I want to hear some of these rejected ideas because I can only imagine like what
I
were
mean,
some, if you don't mind me
yeah,
sharing.
I don't even remember all of them. I wanted to start this like Dirty Girls that was I mean, it would sort of, I don't know, just be like where everybody was dressed up really like, and very like a little confection in the
Yeah.
beginning of the shoot, and then it would just get like raunchy and fisting and like, you know, spitting and all kinds of stuff
Hmm.
that he didn't like. So you know, he said no to me. And on one time there was on camera, it was on Behind Kink. He told me that that, but they've taken it down now, of course. But it was up for years, for so long. Him telling me back at the old building that that I
The
only liked
Armory.
fisting before the armory,
Oh.
that I only liked fisting because I was a quote unquote lesbian, and that if nobody else would want to see it. I think that was like basically a verbatim quote. And I said, you know, I think that you're wrong and you just don't personally like it, so you can't see that other people will. But
Hmm.
anyway, I don't know,
I
fast forward
mean,
a couple of years and then he comes into a director's meeting and is like, okay, everybody, fisting is on, it sells well, everybody starts shooting fisting. And I was just like, ooh, thanks. That's cool. Anyway, but I was happy it was allowed. But
yeah.
anyway,
Well,
so Dirty Girls, and I wanted to start these gangbang websites that I mean, eventually I get, you know, I came on to start some version of.
hmm.
Um and what else? Well, I mean, by the time that I wanted to do Public Disgrace, all I know is that I had stopped trying. I stopped pitching uh, ideas to him, and I stopped, yeah, doing test shoots, and instead I just on Wired Pussy on the site that I already had.
Hmm.
I went to New York and I shot, what would what public like a the skeleton of public disgrace. Um, and then I came back and I did like another version of it at where there was an invited audience, so
Hmm.
did some stuff in like in public and did some stuff with the invited audience. And then I just let him, see how well it was selling and then um allow me to start the site instead of yeah, because I knew that if I pitched anything, I didn't think it would
Yeah, I
get
mean, I
started.
can't imagine walking into a pitch and pitching the concept of that. Like, that's like just like explaining it to people is so crazy.
It is wild. It is wild. Yeah, I mean, um, totally. I could see
So
that.
how much do you want to talk about kink, honestly? Because I
Oh, I
have a
don't.
lot of feelings.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously
Yeah.
I have such. Well, I mean, now they're just kind of like sad, mixed emotions, but it's I
Yeah,
have to
same.
recognize that at the same time, like that it was like that budget and platform that allowed me to like create the work that I wanted to do. But that doesn't mean that so I'm thankful for that, but it was really hard in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And now it's just like deteriorated into something that I can't even be proud of
It's
anymore.
really sad in a
So
lot
it
of
makes me
ways.
really sad because I'm proud of what I did there, but on a larger scale, I'm not.
Yeah, so when did you move to the Bay to like do kink stuff, or were you doing it in New York?
2004.
2004.
Mhm.
So where was it based out of before the Armory?
It was like on 6th and Mission at the Porn
Okay.
Palace. That's what they called it. It's a Howard Johnson hotel now, I think. Um,
What? Oh my
yeah,
God.
no, I was down there like some Folsom a couple years ago, and I'm like, I recognize this block so well. I feel like and then I realized it was like where the old building was, and then it was now a Howard Johnson. I didn't
That's
initially like realize that it was because I used to walk it every day. Um,
it's really sad. I feel like there's a lot of like ghosts of the sex work past in SF that's just gone
yeah,
now, and it's just
yeah.
different things.
Hmm.
So what were you shooting at the porn palace, I guess they called it?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Cybernet Entertainment at the time was the name of the
Hmm.
company. Um, I came on as the director of Wired Pussy,
Okay.
and it was funny, really, because I had done electrical play at Insects, and I hated it, and I was so scared of it. And I remember
Yep.
the first time I ever saw Wired Pussy, I was like, "What kind of sick bastard would start this site?" And then I saw they needed a director, and I was like, "I'll do it." um, and so I did. And I think that I mean, the fact that I was scared of electricity myself, I think it helped me as the director for the site. And I ended up like making it ultimately like more focused on fear play, I think,
Mm.
than on the electricity itself, but yeah, I tried to expand the boundaries in however I could. But
Yeah,
what
that
was
shit's
it saying at
scary.
the
That shit's
end?
still
Oh
scary.
my God, it's
You
so
know my
scary.
feelings about electricity from our shoots together where I'm just like,
It's scary, I know. I'm sorry.
it's the
But I
point.
do love it now. I mean, I'm just like the cattle prod is just so fun and it's so effective.
I feel like if you had an action figure, that'd like be the accessory that came with it,
Totally.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, like a cattle prod or a taser.
So like when you like were doing that, so when I came out here, I
Mhm.
accepted I was working for Kink Live as a camp submissive, and I accepted it because of your work.
Oh,
And then you left the summer between me accepting it and moving
oh
out here.
no.
And I think
Hmm.
Bobby Starr left at the same time too. And I'm like, who are all these directors? I don't know anyone
Hmm.
here now.
Right.
But like how did Public Disgrace like start? So you went to New York, you shot the test shoots.
They weren't
which
test
they
shoots,
love
to be
doing.
clear. They were not test
Okay.
shoots. They went up on wired pussy. They were wired pussy shoots. But they were, playing. I mean, it was the beginning of public disgrace. And I love doing public play so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I had these ideas for shoot, like I had always wanted to do like a scene in the bar. I mean, the scene that I basically did while we were in New York, and I got to
Mm-hmm.
shoot, in Times Square and
Oh my God, that's
on
so I've never
rooftops.
seen
And
that. That's so cool.
yeah, it was fun. And then after like seeing how that did, and then how like the shoot with the invited audience did, what that, and it all did well, then
Hmm.
I think, yes, some other website was going on a location trip. I'm pretty sure that's how I ended up getting to do my first trip to Europe to
Oh.
and like before the site had started,
Hmm.
um, and and it was, yeah, it was amazing. It was, I mean, it was all of the things. Like uh we didn't know what we were doing initially, and I mean, definitely were in a police cell like most of the first day that we were shooting. But um yeah, but we learned.
Oh, so
We
you
stayed
guys
in the
got
same place.
caught by
Yeah,
police?
no, we did. We stayed in the same place
What?
for way too long. We were just like at the most famous spot in Budapest, like for like hours, like
Oh
just
my
switching from one
God.
area to another, like just like moving down the block a little bit. I don't know. It's just we yeah. It was
What happened? Oh
oh, but
my God, I
nothing
had no
happened. I mean,
idea.
eventually I ended up realizing that the maximum fine for what we were doing was $50, which would have made it like the
Oh.
cheapest location I ever rented,
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good deal.
yeah. But I mean, what it meant is you would like lose your footage and a day of shooting. That was
Oh my
essentially
God.
it. But I was terrified, and I felt so horrible
Yeah.
that other people were getting in trouble. And I remember like the so it started raining, and we're sitting there on the side. For some reason it took like a while for the police to be like with
Hmm.
us before the police cars like came to pick us up. Anyway, but so then this like first this car of lady cops comes up, and I assume it's for me and the female model.
Hmm.
But it's not. They drive past us, and then this car comes up behind them with these dudes, and they're like, "Ladies, come here!" And so we get in the back of that car, and it was wild because the model was Romanian and didn't speak Hungarian, and I was American, and I didn't speak Hungarian, and they were in the front seat of the car. The cops like just kind of
Uh-huh.
being dicks and like talking to each other and then laughing and looking back at us. And I'm in the back just being like, this is an AU country, right? Um, I was so happy when we showed up at the police station, honestly.
Oh
um,
my
I
God.
mean, I had never been, I mean, I had never experienced that before.
Yeah, for sure. That's
And it was scary. It was so scary having them speak in a language that we couldn't understand. And that just like, but I went on to like, I did direct like a gangbang that was kind of based on that down the line, and I loved it. It was fun because it's just like a whole nother layer of control and power.
what
Um,
why did you choose Hungary? Was there any like specific reason?
well, like I said, I think that there was another website that was
Mm,
going, and also there's a huge like porn industry there.
yeah.
And
That shit's
also, I
wild.
mean, we picked places where what we were doing wasn't against the law. I mean,
Hmm.
like, I mean, I certainly tested the limits of what was legal, I think, but but it wasn't illegal to do what we were doing. So just so everyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, you got the footage. That's all that matters.
No, I mean, that's not all that
I
matters. Like,
mean,
I care about not hurting people. And
yeah,
but
I mean,
I
yeah, yeah,
swear,
yeah,
like, I
yeah.
mean, people can say what they want, but like, I mean, being there to personally look at the expressions on people's faces, yeah, it really didn't look like anybody was upset. you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I feel like you of any dom I've ever worked with, I feel like you definitely have the most control and like looking for safety over a sub. Like I definitely felt that when we worked together. Like
Thank you. I
for
mean, I
sure.
that is what I care about the most, and
Yeah.
I want people to have a good experience. And I think, I've learned over the years that that doesn't entirely translate onto film because, I guess most of that stuff is cut out, but I
Because,
know it's there. So like, I think everyone knows it's there, but not necessarily.
but like, you know, what like people want off camera of you
Sure.
is,
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. It's
like you
fun.
beating a girl up and being like, you're just a paycheck to me, like shit like that, you
Mhm.
know?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, humiliation is fun.
Yeah, it's
I
the
like,
best.
I just like, I don't know. I wonder, I'll have to explore that more. I'm like, if you're gonna hear it all the time anyway, may as well be in a
Yeah.
in like a
I mean,
capacity that you're in control of and that isn't serious, like
I mean, I do
toying
love
with the idea of actual humiliation as
yeah,
opposed
I love when porn breaks like the fourth wall or third wall, where
to.
like I saw a scene, it was a BDSM scene, and it was at AVN, and they were
Mhm.
just like destroying this girl's feet, and they're like, you have to stay on the
Oh.
entire day at the convention tomorrow, and you're gonna be
I swear to
thinking of
God,
me
they
the whole
copied
day.
that from me because I used to
Oh my
always say
God,
that to
did you
people
do
when I would
that?
go for people's feet. I'm like, so that you'll be thinking about me for the next week every time you take a footstep. You won't, and that's like, that's directly from my childhood too. Like the first, like this,
Oh.
there was this, I was in junior high and this like, um, in my like dorky gym shorts and this guy walked by who was like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen and he had makeup like running down his face and he was wearing
Hmm.
a dress and I was like, oh my God, I love you. um anyway, yeah, but I mean, at the time I was I was so young. But anyway, I would used to scratch my nails down his back until it
Hmm.
would bleed, and then they'd scab up, and I'd scratch it more, and I thought it was so fun because, like then we'd be out and people would like tap him on the back or something, and he'd wince, and it was fun. I liked
Wow,
it.
this is like an origin story right now. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. There's so many. Like my mom also taught me how to spell by like when I would get a word right, I could tweeze a hair. I would her and like over the bone, there's more screaming, and so
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily incentivize myself.
That's so
um,
hilarious.
but yeah. Anyway, so where was I? I forget where.
Oh, so you were shooting in Hungary. Y'all
Yeah,
got detained.
right. We did, and then but anyway, then it was fine,
Hmm.
and we were like talking to the company and trying to figure things out, and I was really nervous to shoot again. Um,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
but we did, and then like on the next shoot, we were I it's okay, so we were like we were on a walkway, little park area, but then
Hmm.
beneath below was a roadway.
Hmm.
And then I had this girl tied to a pole, and this white van pulls up underneath us. I can see the top of the white van, and I'm like, oh, okay, the cops are here again.
Hmm.
And but then all these guys like hopped out on top of the roof of the car and of the van and asked if they could like take pictures with her. And I was like, yes, amazing. And it just, to have it
Yeah.
happen organically, I gave me faith that the site was possible and that it would be fun. And yeah, so that was
Yeah.
the beginning.
I
Uh,
feel like it was like obviously I'm queer and like basically a lesbian and shit, but like I feel like for so many people, including myself, seeing that shit made me be like, oh, there's more to it than that. You know what I mean?
mhm. Well,
Like
I'm so
if it's a
happy.
situation like that, then I'm into it, you know?
Yeah, all my mission, because I just graduated from college
Hmm.
and I was deciding what to do with myself, like, and I realized that like that going to work at Kink, what became Kink
Hmm.
was going to be like a defining moment in my life. I
Hmm.
was kind of deciding whether or not like this is something I'm willing to commit myself to or
Yeah.
and I did I mean I felt that what I was doing was important and I felt like I wanted to create an environment without shame, because I had so much shame about sexuality.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm happy to hear that. I think, for a lot of people, I did. So,
Yeah, you definitely did. I think you just like expanded what I looked at as sexuality.
hmm
Like I knew I was into BDSM, but like I didn't understand it in the
yeah.
way I did until seeing your work because it was like so explicit and like it's I feel like it's just like it's political and not a political way where it's not like overtly being like, look at you, there's all sorts of sexuality to it, you
Right.
know? It's just
Right.
like
And it was queer without being also overtly
I mean,
queer
yeah.
necessarily, I guess, except I'm queer, so, you know,
Yeah, if you're choking on like a dude's cock for a dom,
yeah, it's
it's still
different.
pretty
It's
lesbian.
different, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's how I
Thank
feel
you. And
where
I
I'm
mean, I
like
feel like it would be hard. I mean, I know, I guess there are people who have watched that site and still come out thinking that it was not straight or something, but I don't know how.
yeah, it's like I think it's so queer. And when I first moved here and I was like very much, I got thrown into the whole kink world, which the time when I moved here was very much being run like a Silicon Valley company, where it
hmm
was like, we have a personal chef here, we have
Oh yeah,
a
yeah,
gym
yeah.
here, you don't have to leave the
I
building, all this
remember. I
stuff.
remember that happening right, before I left. Yeah.
Yeah. So also they had tours come by when you were
Yeah.
working, which was really
Right.
weird. So
Yeah.
like you would be going to the bathroom and a bunch of tourists would like start waving at you and shit.
Right. Yeah. That
But
sounds
like
awful.
the way I viewed your porn was like so aspirationally high where I wasn't even like thinking of it in a queer porn aspect until
Mm,
like getting to know you personally. I'm like, oh, I can see how these are all from being gender studies, being
mhm,
queer, all this stuff. But I feel like
mhm.
almost within kink, it becomes this like shiny thing where it's looking at these directors like they have all this power. Like I assume no one could say no to you. I assumed you just ran whatever you wanted. That's when we were started talking. I was like, I said to my partner because before I was like, I didn't know if you were still like really good with kink and stuff, and I was like kind of nervous about it. And then after, I'm like, oh yeah, they fucking hate kink too. It's great.
Mm.
But like, also, as much as I say that, I wouldn't become the performer I am today if it wasn't for camming in the armory. So it's
Right.
kind of a hard thing to like
But
balance
see, like,
of
I'm
good and
secure enough
bad.
in myself to say that I wouldn't have become who I am without them, but they
Yeah,
would have never been kink.com without me. And
for
they don't get
sure.
to say that. And that's annoying, you know?
Definitely.
But
Like,
yeah.
I think when maybe I'm just such a fangirl that when I think of kink.com, I think of public disgrace.
Well, thank you. No, a lot of people have told me that, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely not the way I got to feel while I was there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes me happy. Um,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that stuff in the building just because I think it was like both the bad Silicon Valley culture on top of power dynamics within the building and
mhm,
like it being a BDSM company.
mhm,
Like there was just so much stuff and then it was like I personally couldn't really advance there just because they weren't hiring trans women to do anything
yeah,
submissive. And there was like,
mhm,
"Oh, you're a dom, right?" And I'm like, "No."
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you definitely inspired me to move out here and do all that. So thank you for all the work you've done with that. But yeah, what performers like when you first started performing, were there any like DOMs or porn performers that you like looked up to or like were around you at the time that you think really inspired you?
Well, I think okay. I mean, um, when I start, I mean, all of the early BDSM experiences that I had were on camera. And
Hmm.
and um and it was, so I went from like not having tried anything to doing really, pretty extreme stuff. And so I don't know. I mean, there were so many things that I experienced that were just like really wild.
Hmm.
And and that I went on to like, love, just love doing. I mean, that was like a huge, that is definitely what like created who I am as a
Hmm.
dom. was the place that I started, was insects. And the guy who owned that company, he was actually, he was an artist. And he
Hmm.
used to be a professor at Carnegie Mellon, and
Oh,
until,
really?
yeah, he would, like, I think, did something with, like, there was something with students and photographs. I don't know. But
Oh.
but looking at his artwork during that from that time, I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's 100% insects. He was doing these like encasement, like installate, like he would
It's
be, yeah,
so
like
good.
encased like an insect in a gallery. I don't know, it was really beautiful, and like that's what insects looked like. And I think that being, in a sense brought up in, yeah, there, it was easier for me. I guess, it was I was in a company where basically everyone looked at what we were doing as art, while there was like recognition that it was also, sexual and
Hmm.
like profitable.
Yeah,
So
I feel like there was a real shift, like for a while where people were like so afraid to say porn was art, and then I feel like it shifted again in the last 5 years where
yeah,
you go to AVN or something and someone's like, "Oh, this is my art." No one's gonna look at you weird. But 10 years ago, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" You know?
yeah, yeah. They didn't even give awards to fucking internet porn when I
Yeah.
at the times when I would go to AV, and I had to like uh fight for that. I'm like, you guys, first of all, this is antiquated. Like,
So
but
antiquated.
porn, the internet, like, how can you only give awards to people who are like distributing DVDs at this point in time? It's crazy. And so then they did start, giving awards for stuff on the internet, but I left the industry.
Yeah, it took so long because when I first started, I still have a shit ton of DVDs because you
Mm,
had to make a certain amount of DVDs to have anything eligible for anything. So you
right.
had to like make 400 DVDs, and
Mm,
I definitely did not sell them all. I don't even think I have a DVD player anymore, but I have
no, no.
like 50 porn DVDs in my closet.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you might find a player one day. Good to hold on to.
Yeah,
I have some DVDs of my early insects videos. Um,
I
I
had
don't know
no
where they
idea
are
you had
now.
any connection with them, honestly. I just assumed I knew you were from the East Coast, but then I just like assumed you just appeared on the West Coast. I
Well, I'm
don't
not,
know.
yeah, I'm not from the East Coast though. I'm from the West
Oh,
Coast. I went to New York for school.
where are you
Yeah.
from originally?
I'm from Sacramento.
Oh, okay. That makes
Hmm.
sense. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of people from like kind of like the secondary California cities that are in this industry,
Mm.
like
Well, it's the
Sacramento.
capital, but
Okay, I'm not
um
trying to talk shit on Sacramento. I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. I mean, that language is inherently hierarchical, right? Because you called it a secondary city, but um, I won't hold it against you. And
Okay.
yeah,
That's my Bay Area bias right there, where I'm
right. And
like,
that's
if someone
cool.
says they're from the Bay and they're from Sacramento,
Well, I
saw the
wouldn't say that.
reaction.
I'm from Sacramento.
Okay, okay.
Um, and I mean, it was yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, I love Sacramento for um I I don't know, like, that's where I'm from, and I'm proud
Hmm.
of it, like, but not because I really hold any like allegiance to the city itself. I mean, I don't I always felt like a weirdo there, and I wanted to get out, desperately.
Hmm.
And I was really excited when I got accepted to NYU,
Yeah.
and went to the East Coast. I was super happy. And I think I honestly, I think it's charming that, and like sweet, that everybody says that I'm from New York, no matter how many times I say Sacramento. It always says like online that I'm from New York, and I'm like, I'll take it. Um,
I feel like you do have a little bit of like an East Coast vibe. I don't know why.
yeah, I mean, I get it. My dad was from Massachusetts, but
Oh,
also I
okay.
think I'm just like a faster pace for like California.
Yeah, I feel like here I just feel like it's such a different pace than New York. I can also see how being in New York for like 4 years could really
I was happy to stay in New York, but at the same time, I was happy to come back to, I mean, I was happy to come to San Francisco and be closer to my family. And
Mhm.
I ended up really falling in love with San Francisco the way that that lots of people do with New York. But for me, San Francisco, I loved New York, but I was in love with San Francisco. And I mean, it was so beautiful and such a vibrant
Mhm.
scene. And um, yeah, I don't know. I loved it. And I
Yeah.
still do. I mean, it's sad what has happened,
Yeah, it's
but I hope that it's on the mend,
yeah, I hopefully I that there's like more stuff being shot here again by sex workers makes me really excited. Like that we got to do what we did at
Mhm.
Enzyme. It just made me be like, "Oh my God, there's like
Yeah. No, I know.
community here again," you
That's
know?
why I was like, ooh, I want to come back now. Because yeah, I was excited to see new, queer and trans run spaces popping up,
For sure.
and also, with the pandemic, a lot of people leaving and making it less cost prohibitive.
Yeah. I feel like at least rental like spaces are. I wish regular rent would come down, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, so when I was here, I had a place on 23rd and Mission that was like 2,400 or something, 2,450, and it was like 5 bedrooms. And then I went to
Oh
LA
my
for a
God.
year, and I came back, and a studio apartment on 15th and Mission was
Hmm.
like $4,500. It was insane.
Yeah.
I
I
was like, this is wow. Crazy.
yeah,
But
I don't like to think about how much I pay in rent. It's so depressing.
yeah, I can imagine. But anyway,
Well,
I mean,
well, well, because you're from Sacramento, I will give it another chance eventually. I feel like just had I shot a bad mainstream porn scene there once, and
uh-huh.
then the second time I went there it was 115 degrees.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think I just need to maybe give it some more
I mean,
chances.
I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm not saying you need to give it any more chances. I'm just saying it's weird that you'd call it like a secondary city when it's actually the state's capital.
It is. It is.
So that's all I was saying. I wasn't
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, I go back and I notice things that I love about the city that I took for granted when I was a kid.
Mm.
Like I grew up like right on the bike trail, like on the river, and it was so
Oh, that is
beautiful.
really nice.
And I yeah, like the school that I went to was right on the river and was small, like my high school. Um, I went to the Sacramento Waldorf School, and that was good. I liked it there. Um,
Nice.
another part of, I think, another big part of like what you know, made me who I am, because I mean, I went to public school, until high school,
Same.
and I was, like I was yeah, I didn't um have to try very hard to, I mean, I was always at the top of my class, and I
Mm.
didn't do homework or anything, and I didn't ever learn how to do math, and like, the things I learned, I was like in the gifted program from a young age, but like it just like there just was only so much that you could learn there.
Yeah.
Um and um but I didn't care at the time, I just wanted to like go to the public school and be, I don't even know what. um but then I studied abroad in Austria, and
Oh, wow.
that was very, that was really good for me to get out of my um like out of my life for a while and see yeah, I don't know.
See the world.
Yeah, see the world and see how how tiny your life can look in comparison to everything
Hmm.
that's going on.
For sure.
Anyway, I'm sure I'm getting off topic. Where
I'm,
are we going?
I'm like, that's mostly this podcast is just being like, oh, following the wherever it
Okay,
goes.
well, that's good, because that's pretty much how my brain works.
So you
But
left porn. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
What were
I
you?
left
Oh,
porn.
okay. So you left porn for a bit. I found out, I think it was 2 AVNs ago that you were coming back, and
Mhm.
I freaked the fuck out. I was just like, wait, what?
Mhm.
Like, it was like for me, like if like one of like the best athletes like unretired. It is like I'm back. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do about this because I feel like most of the people who I looked up to in porn, you were one of them, Sasha Grey was one of them, were like
Also
basically
from
out.
Sacramento.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Um,
Lots of pervs coming out there. Apparently.
wow, that's some crazy shit that you are both from Sacramento and like both in that same era did so much shit. That's
Mhm.
crazy. Um, but most of the stuff was like done by the time I got into porn, so it was like very
Mhm.
much like, oh, this is what was done before, you know?
Mhm.
So what like kind of prompted you to come back? Like, were you just like feeling like something was missing without doing it?
Um, well, I missed directing. Yeah,
Hmm.
like yeah, so I was happy to start again. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a whole different industry now.
Yeah.
And um, I mean, uh, I don't know many communities in America that respect their elders, but porn is certainly not one of them. But
No.
um, I'm just saying that instead of saying I feel like ancient, which is what how I feel. But anyway, I mean, I don't know. It's been a whole different landscape. I
Mhm.
OnlyFans and like all of this stuff. I love the way that it's changed the industry to make it more performer controlled and performer driven. Like, I mean, back when I started the found gangbangs, and
Mhm.
I would 1 second, I need some. Oh, I would talk to the models like a month in advance about
Mhm.
a scene that they wanted to create, and then like sort of cater each storyline to them. And
Mhm.
at the time it was so wild. Because I never had an agent or like went to perform at different places. I just always
Mhm.
was directing and performing where I was. And I didn't realize that that basically no one had ever been asked that before, you know?
Yeah.
Like for how they wanted to be, how they wanted to appear on camera, or like who they wanted to work with, which was crazy to me.
Yeah.
Um,
That
and but so it's really nice to see, yeah, to see like performers more in control of their own image and the work that they put out.
it's really
And
crazy to think about how that was the norm in porn where you would just get like selected on the day of and you would just shoot with whatever person.
right, like
Like
I remember this girl
that's
showing up, and she thought she didn't know there was any electricity. She thought she was shooting for a site called Weird Pussy, and I'm like, you showed up to this?
you thought it was called
The
Weird
Weird Pussy.
Pussy Girl?
But yeah, so like I mean the agents wouldn't necessarily tell anyone
Oh.
anything, and that was crazy.
Did you
um
feel like part of like obviously queer porn was going on here at like the same time. Did you feel part of like the queer porn scene or did you feel like what
I
kink
mean, I
was doing
was
was
part of the queer
separate?
porn scene.
Hmm.
I was in porn, and I was queer, and I mean it's like I would shoot for crash pad and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean I definitely, I mean I was because it was just a small a city comparatively still. And you know I was very much
Yeah.
active in the queer scene, and I was also directing porn.
Yeah,
But I
I was
didn't
really wondering
necessarily like
about that.
explicitly call it that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I obviously like by the time I got here, I feel like kink and queer porn were like very separated.
Hmm.
Where it was like this is mainstream porn, queer porn is,
Sure. I mean,
you're
I
in
think
someone's
that's probably just going to
bedroom.
continue happening, until the end of time, that like there will be a convergence and then a separation between
Mhm.
communities and identities. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice. It was fun.
Yeah, so you were saying how there were like agents and stuff really not telling their models like
Oh, I was just saying that I'm happy to see the industry. Like, so that part
mhm.
of it, I'm super happy about. I don't understand how to like function in like I didn't I mean OnlyFans is new to me, and Like
Totally.
having to upload your work to like 5,000 different platforms and post on social media and all of this shit is really not super interesting to me.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
But you know, I just have to like remind myself that that you know that ultimately like I'm in control of what I create and what I
Hmm.
put out there and just try to work towards what feels good to me and like what I care about and just you know let someone else do the other stuff if it needs to happen or um you know like for my brand or whatever like if posting on social media sorry
Hmm.
this needs to happen then I that's fine. I just don't want to be the one on social media every day like
For sure.
promoting myself. That's like that's a definitely like one of the circles of hell as far as I'm concerned. But
It
yeah,
fucking sucks.
yeah.
And now
I mean
like
I
with shadow
honestly like
bans too.
I feel so bad for kids that these days who like they don't know any world before the internet. I know that makes me sound like even older than I already am, but
It's true
it's
though.
true. I mean, I can't imagine how it just seems so bleak, and I feel badly for kids these days, and anyone who didn't grow up knowing what it's like to live with without the internet. You know what I know? And again, I know that's that way for every generation. Like, I mean, I loved the answering machine. The answering machine
Mm.
was so great because you could go on a trip and you could still be thinking you could be like wanting someone to call you really bad and then you'd get home and you'd get you know you'd see that there was a message from them on the answering machine. It was a great delayed satisfaction. And I mean there was also film which was great.
Hmm.
um anyway.
Yeah, I feel like it was so like I remember when I didn't have a smartphone.
I
And it
know,
was
and it was
great. It was great.
good. It was so good. And I mean, I used to have a sense of direction. Now the GPS is, you know, killing it for all of us. But
For
anyway, so that's my experience back in the industry is that it's yeah, I don't totally know what I'm doing, but because it's so different from what I used to do, but I mean, I know how to do some of the stuff.
I mean, yeah, I think this goes into the next part. So by the time this is out, our movie should be out by then.
Mhm.
So how was it going back into like the role of leading a public debasement sort of scene?
Mhm.
Like for
Yeah,
people
it
who
was
don't
so
know,
fun.
did we have like 40 people, 50 people, something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly, but it was, I mean, it was great. I was super happy to be, um, you know, I mean, it felt for me like reclaiming something that I had
For
created that
sure.
belongs to somebody else now. And also like being able to do it without anyone like above me telling me what to do. And like getting to shoot with you and like
Hmm.
being able to you know, open up the website so that, you know, anybody who like all the people who wanted to model for it, regardless of
Yeah.
gender and orientation and, you know, race, all that stuff could be, you know, included.
Yeah, I definitely feel that whole like reclamation thing too, because that's the shit that I came out here to shoot, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like it took 10 years, but like it
Mm.
eventually happened. But like
Yes.
just before you were like a little apprehensive when we were talking and you're like, "Okay, I haven't done this in a while." But then when you were like giving the talk to everyone before the scene,
Mm.
it like instantly clicked and I'm like, holy shit, this is Princess Donna introducing like a public disgrace scene right now. And like it
Yeah.
wasn't even like I was just like in like I wasn't even thinking about performing at the moment. I was just like, oh wow, I'm
Yeah.
here for this. That's amazing.
Yes. Well, I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have done it if you hadn't asked me to. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was really nice to, yeah, get back into it. And I'm excited to do more.
Yeah, I think BDSM porn's like genuinely a better place with you making content in it. And I honestly think it's like the best site in the world. Like
Thank
I have to be honest, my biggest fear going into it was I'm like, what if it's so hot I come in the first 3 minutes of the scene? I'm like, what if I do that? Because I'm like, this is like my number one site, you know?
Oh my gosh, now I'm mad at you for not doing that. I guess I
But
have to be mad at myself. I didn't make it hot enough. I'll try harder next time.
I mean, I did pee play for the first time, which I could never pee on cue ever. And I got fisted for the first time, so
Yeah.
those were two big ones. So yeah, I'm really hope there's more in the future for you, and I really hope everyone can check that out because I think it
Yes.
would just felt like such a community thing because it was
Yeah, it was. It
NSF.
was so nice. Yeah, I
We
loved it.
had so many porn companies, different stuff there. We were like literally shooting with the lights from the armory.
Mhm.
Um, we
Yeah.
had Courtney Trouble from Trouble Films doing that. It just felt like such
Mhm.
a collaborative
Yeah,
effort overall, and
it was, and it was such an amazing experience. Yeah, I can't wait to do more. It's just like,
yeah,
I mean, bottom line, it's hard to, um, I'm still figuring out how to do things on a shoestring budget, like,
it's so
um,
fucking hard.
yeah, it's hard. And but it's worth it.
But
So,
even just like, even with the money, I feel like I didn't realize how much planning really went into one of those scenes.
hmm
Like we were like kind of talking about it for like 8 months, I feel like it was
yeah,
such a long period of time to make happen.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's true. I mean, I can be a slow mover also. Um,
But it got done,
I'm
and
I'm
I
not
think
used like I'm not used to producing my own stuff. I'm not used
exactly.
to having a producer. So, I mean, I'm used to like, yeah, I don't know.
It's
It's so I'm
just
trying to learn how to do it.
I mean, it's just such a big adjustment. Like,
Mhm.
the way porn used to be is like, as a performer, you would show up on set, you'd get paid, you would leave,
Mhm.
and then your porn's online in a few months, you know?
I mean, I can't speak to that experience, but that's what you're saying. I mean, that was your experience. I mean, I honestly can't. I don't know, and I don't want to speak for anyone else. Like, but was that your experience?
Oh, I mean, yeah, when I did like mainstream trans porn, it was
Mm.
like very much that. It was like fly. I was like shooting in really weird places. Like we shot in Martha's Vineyard. So like I
Uh-huh.
flew out there, shot, came
Mm.
home, and then the movie would be out like in 4 months.
Right.
And I have like nothing else to do with it. But even
hmm
like with you directing, I'm sure it was like you would show up, you direct, perform, and then everything else is kind of taken care of.
Well, I mean, when I first started, I was editing my own stuff.
Oh my God,
But
really?
then, yeah, but then, uh, but then, then we started getting editors
Hmm.
and things like that. And so, yeah, by the end of my time there, I think well, I mean, it's not like I wasn't involved in every aspect. I mean, I would pick the models, like
Hmm.
they create the scene, shoot, be in it, shoot it, and do the work with the editors on how it was going to be edited and approve it before it would go out, um but yeah, I mean, I started shooting so much that I couldn't always approve every edit ultimately.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think
Because
that's
I
like
would
the
be
worst
shooting
part
like
about
three to
making
five times
porn.
a week.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked at the Armory, there were like 2, 3 shoots going on every single fucking day.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
crazy, like
I
just
feel
the
like,
amount of
see, that's the
production.
thing, is that kind of, I do better in like in that kind of environment too, like just having to put out, create, like having to create something all the time is
Mm,
makes it so much easier to just like, trust your first idea, go with it, and like put it out into the world before I have time to critique it and myself to death.
yeah, I think that's a really probably good thing because, yeah, especially during the pandemic, I was editing stuff and I just keep editing it over and over and over again. Where it was like
Mhm.
taking 6 months to edit one thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's really hard when you don't have a set deadline where it's just like, okay, this has to be out.
Right. Yeah. Can be. I'm trying to
So
learn, give myself deadlines.
it's very difficult. So I
It
have
is.
two more wait, yeah, I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
Well, first off, thanks so much for talking and like this has been amazing. I've learned so much about you and like I had no idea about any of the stuff in Hungary. I feel like even just like SF porn wise,
I
I've
think I
learned so
probably
much.
haven't said it on a podcast before, so that's
Okay.
great for you.
So it's an exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've done a lot in your career, obviously. Like you saw like BDSM go from not being part of porn to being part of porn to
Mhm.
DVDs to stuff online to now OnlyFans, all that stuff. Is there any like either scene or accomplishment that you want to accomplish that you haven't so far?
Oh, let me think. I mean, I don't know. Like in the porn industry or in
I
general
mean,
or
I think more in the porn industry, but if you have something in general, that's
no, I
cool
mean,
too.
in terms of the porn industry, I I uh, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, um I mean, maybe there might have been a time in my life when I thought getting an AVN would be actually, I mean, I don't even really think I ever cared about it because to me, it's just like, just some, uh, I'm honored now not to have ever been. And, but, so I don't know. I mean, I can't really think of anything. I'm just excited to, like be involved in I mean, I guess creating like new queer enterprises within the I
Hmm.
mean within the porn community and seeing what happens because I'm not really a planner. I didn't, like I didn't know I didn't know I was creating public disgrace until it was happening already.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
there's not like a guidebook of how to be a porn director.
right. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better
Oh,
answer
no,
to this
that's a good
question,
answer
but
though. Just like
I mean, I just
creating more
I'm more
stuff.
focused now on having porn that is art be recognized as what it is. Like that's more what I'm focused on these days.
Yeah, I feel like everything you've made since you came back really reflects that. Like I feel like you're shooting the most you stuff where you're shooting super explicit stuff. You're shooting like stuff that's inclusive but still very like Princess Donna porn, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
totally. I mean,
it's not
I do have a style, I guess, like
yes.
there are I used to always say like I'm not like and I believed it too though. I was like I'm not sadistic, I'm just creative. Um,
Yeah, I feel like you're
but
very
now I
that.
recognize that that I'm a little bit of both.
But I think
Um,
that's like what makes you such an interesting Dom because like being a sub in that situation, being like, I can't guess what it's gonna be. Because I
yeah.
feel like you're so creative as a Dom. It's also so sadistic where I'm like, I don't even know, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no,
oh
it's
go on, I'm sorry.
no, 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 you didn't interrupt me. I'm just thinking like, I mean, it's much easier to keep people guessing if you yourself are also not sure what you're gonna do. But I just feel like much more alive, like and that's why I gravitated towards doing location shoots all the time. Like
Hmm.
I love spontaneity and coming up with, like I mean, it's not like I wouldn't have a framework or like I don't have a million notebooks from like early on filled with different bond positions and like, things. But I learned pretty quickly that especially with bondage form, but just
Hmm.
in life in general, I think it's a setback to like try and plan something that involves someone else that you don't know and
Hmm.
have never met before without like getting um, input from them or like without having them in your now currently in your presence and being able to adapt to like who they are and I
Yeah,
mean I don't know if that makes sense but it's like
it
I just
definitely does.
I I used to like plan bondage positions for people, but on myself. And then they would show up and they wouldn't be able to do it. And then I wouldn't be able to like think on my feet about what to do because I had a plan and now it's not
Hmm.
going according to plan. So it was just like easier and more rewarding to um make it up on the fly. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, more
know.
improv.
Yeah, improv doming. But yeah.
Yeah, I
So
have that too. I have like notes that are just like filled with like ideas of to sub. I'm like, I don't know who this is gonna be to. I have no idea where. Someday in reality, though.
I do
So,
like one day I want to like auction off those because they're like my notebooks are filled. They're like there's like a grocery list and then like a list of like ways to humiliate someone and then like a bunch of different bondage positions and then like a journal entry and and then
I
it just
feel
going like that.
Yeah, I feel like eventually in like 50 years, once queers discover this whole like porn scene, that
Mhm.
shit's gonna be like in a book or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished the Candy Darling book about like the whole Warhol like scene, and I just
Hmm.
like all the reflections with that with like queer porn. I'm like, oh, they were all doing sex work and like performing on porn theaters and shit. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's the same shit.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, even I mean, I don't know, looking back at old Hollywood and I mean, there was a lot of sex work in that
Yeah.
in the Hollywood business as well. I guess there still is. Um, but so it's sad to see it be shamed. It's
Hmm.
the oldest profession.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
a
But
worthy one.
I think it's also we're like in a unique situation where we have this platform doing sex work in a way that really wasn't a thing that much
Yeah, no,
before.
absolutely.
It's like
Yeah.
a really weird thing where it's like you still have to worry about your bank accounts being seized, and like I don't have a PayPal account because it
Hmm.
was taken when I was 19 for being a sex worker.
Hmm.
But then you can like go overseas and people know who you are and shit, or
Hmm.
get to go to award shows or have screenings and shit. And it's just like this weird dichotomy, I feel like, where we're criminalized, but also in other ways like hyper visible.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot has happened in the industry and continues to happen. So it will be interesting to see where it goes.
For sure. So I have one final question. This is my only like
Mhm,
kind of BuzzFeedy kind of
mhm.
bullshit question.
Okay.
Okay, let's say you wake up tomorrow and
Mhm.
one thing could magically change in porn. What would you have it be?
I mean, well, I mean, I would take away any stigma associated with, I mean, it's kind of like it would be a big ask, I mean,
I mean, it's
it would
magic.
be
It's
like
fun.
it would be the entire world changing. I don't know. I mean, it would probably invert it would have to start all over again, like the history of humankind. And yeah, but if I could, I would just change all of it. I mean, I would just take all of the stigma away and I would
Mhm.
make the world like not inherently, racist, misogynist, transphobic. Like, I mean, it's a horrible world that we were all
Yeah,
brought up in. Not to be
it's bad.
sadistic, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, it would involve a lot. I would ask for a lot.
Well, it's
So,
magic, so that's a good answer. Where can everyone find you on like socials and where can they find your porn?
yes, I mean, I'm on the Twitter, Princess Donna, and on Instagram, it's Princess Donna Delore. And then I have the website Princess Donna that I'm like working on launching right now. And you can also find me on, I don't even know all the platforms. ManyVids, OnlyFans. Oh, Get Hotline. That's a new one that I like.
Hmm.
They you can post all the stuff that you can't on
That's
other.
so cool.
I
I
I
had multiple people ask about that, be like, so where's Princess Donna posting all their stuff? Because it's so explicit. I'm like, they
right.
have a specific site that you can.
You know what? What I will be proud of, I think, is that I was told, and back when the company was the mission statement, I don't know what the company mission statement is now, but it was like about demystifying human sexuality and like, and I was told that I was too kinky essentially for the company. And like I mean that was I'm proud of that, for actually understanding the mission statement, even if they didn't. So
Well, that's a big accomplishment. And yeah, I just hope you take away from this, like, how inspirational you've been to so many sex workers and how many queer people's sexuality you shaped. And yeah,
I'm
it's
so
just been
honored. I'm
so
so
great
proud.
to
That's all I
chat.
ever wanted
I
was to
mean, you did
big
it.
young queer minds. No, I love it. And I really, I mean, it's not far from what I wanted, but obviously people could make that sound more perverted than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, everyone check out our film together and
Yes.
hit up Princess Donna on all the different apps and pay for their porn
Yeah, pay
because
for
it's some
porn.
really
People
great
should start
stuff.
paying for porn again.